So the honeymoon phase is over, according to Mike McCarthy. I never knew there was a honeymoon phase in Dallas. I guess that was training camp. Season started. Cowboys not off to a hot start. Not much else to say besides that. What I am going to do today is I'm going to preview not the Cowboys-Falcons game, but we're going to look a little bit at what the Falcons bring to the table and how they looked against the Seahawks. Now, I have NFL Red Zone, so I didn't watch the whole entire Seahawks-Falcons game, but I did get the gist, and I did read more about it and watch some highlights and stuff after the game. And, guys, the Falcons didn't look awful. They were able to establish the run somewhat, and if you just look at the stat sheet, I don't think you could fully grasp that because Todd Gurley started off in the first half with like 50 yards and a touchdown, and their run game kind of ended there. But at the same time, at that point, they were down by like 11 points, and they had to start getting some yards and getting some scores through the air, so Matt Ryan had to kind of start to take over. And at some point, they kind of abandoned the run game, and they only rushed for like 30 yards in the second half. Now, I think Todd Gurley ended up with 56 yards and a touchdown on 14 carries. That's kind of the key right there is can you hold Todd Gurley to like 15 carries? If he gets his 30 carries and 100 yards, then they got the run game going, and Matt Ryan's going to be most effective. But if you can force them to throw the ball, a lot like what I was saying about the Rams, then I think you're giving your defense a good chance. Now, unlike the Rams, I don't think Dan Quinn is anything like a Sean McVay. I just don't think he's as creative a coach, and I don't think their play calling will be to the par of the level of the Los Angeles Rams were Sunday night. I think they had our defense kind of shook. I think our defense is going to be ready for this game. Mike McCarthy, we don't know what to expect, but we've seen him. We've seen his team play now, and now we have to see what kind of adjustments he's going to make, because the strength right now of the Falcons, in my opinion, is going to be linebacker and defensive line, and obviously offense. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, and he has a ton of weapons. Actually, I shouldn't even say a ton of weapons. He has really good weapons. So he really only has 2 or 3 great weapons. But, man, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst hasn't really proven anything in the NFL to this point, but he is their starting tight end, and at least they have a starting tight end. And he was a really good player at the University of South Carolina. So I'm kind of surprised he hasn't broken out yet in the NFL. Hopefully this won't be his breakout game or anything. But it does concern me that our tight end situation is looking drastically worse than it was in the offseason. So injuries are holding us back, and it's going to be tough. Now, on defense, they do have a couple big threats, one being Grady Jarrett on the defensive line, a defensive tackle. Got to be able to contain him. Now, the good news is last week you saw the baddest dude in the NFL as far as pass rushing goes. Terrence Steele in his first game as a pro got to see a little bit of the NFL's elite. So Grady Jarrett is good too, which Grady Jarrett's purely a defensive tackle. He's not going to be going up against Terrence Steele. But Terrence Steele is probably going to be covering like Dante Fowler or blocking Dante Fowler. And I think now I think it was actually good for him, is what I'm trying to say, that he did go up against the best week 1, because now he kind of knows more what to expect, and I think this task will be a little more up to what he's able to handle this week. Tat McKinley had like 6 pressures to Russell Wilson. He hit him like 6 times, and that's concerning. I think on that left side, if that's where he is, that Tyron Smith will be able to handle him a little better than the Seahawks did. Grady Jarrett, to me, is the biggest concern outside of just having Terrence Steele as your starting right tackle. If Zach Martin can kind of get a handle on Grady Jarrett, that'd be nice, but I don't know what side of defensive tackle he'll be attacking from. If we plan on double teaming him some or what. But overall, the Seahawks The Falcons were pretty good at stopping the run the other night. I mean, they only held. I'm getting mixed up what I'm trying to say. The Seahawks were held to only like 82 rushing yards, and Chris Carson only had like 30 yards, and Carlos Hyde had like 20-something yards, 30 yards, and so did Russell Wilson. So not one player really stood out in the air, but not Carlos Hyde. Gosh, I'm getting everybody's name mixed up this morning. Chris Carson had a couple touchdowns through the air and the passing game, and he was the more impressive running back in my opinion, even though they were kind of saying negative things about him going into the game and how Carlos Hyde was going to get some burn. I do think Carlos Hyde had a rushing touchdown, but overall, that's kind of besides the point. The Falcons were able to contain the ground game. Now, Zeke's going to be a little tougher, but at the same time, it is very important that we do establish the run. The Seahawks didn't necessarily need to because Russell Wilson was so freaking good. He had like 320-something yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he kind of balled out on that Falcons defense. Hopefully, Dak can do the same thing. Dak definitely has the weapons to. A little concerned about not having a tight end. I don't know if anything's going to change between now and then, but Dalton Schultz just can't catch, so that's a concern. But we do have 3 really good wide receivers and a couple backups, too, who aren't the worst in Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown. Deion Jones is a really good linebacker, and he's really fast and explosive. So he's going to beat Ezekiel Elliott to the outside. If we're going to run the ball, might as well run the ball straight down the middle, in my opinion. I'm going to look into some Falcons tape before I do my preview this week of the Cowboys-Falcons game. So I'll know a little more of what offense we need to throw at the Falcons than I do now. But, guys, they're not going to be easy. But this game is in Dallas, and I think it is definitely winnable. Obviously, after that first game, we're a little shook, especially as Cowboys fans. But I think that Rams team was a little better than we were expecting them to be. And doesn't mean we were great because we weren't, but we had our moments. And I think as long as we can get a little something going on offense in Atlanta, we'll be able to contain them. But Matt Ryan is tough. I mean, 450 yards against that Seahawks defense, man, that's something we got to look at. Unlike Jared Goff, who was rolling out left and right, I think Matt Ryan will be moving around the pocket a little more, and there will be more opportunities to get some pressure to him. And this is a game where DeMarcus Lawrence has to not only step up, but just flat out show up, man. Where the heck have you been? Season started a week ago, and you're nowhere to be seen. So this is the game where, I'd like to see DeMarcus Lawrence, D-Law, have a sack, at least pressure the quarterback some, force a turnover like Alden Smith, Everson Griffin. I expect to see more of them and good things from them. So I'm not too worried about the Falcons offense, but, I mean, they're definitely going to put up 20-something points at least. So we should be able to put up more than that, but we actually have to. We can't just come out flat and vanilla like we did last week. Like I said, I don't think the coaching against us is going to be as good as Sean McVay, but we still got to go out there and do our job. Do me a big favor, guys. If you enjoy my content, subscribe for some more daily Dallas Cowboys content. And leave me a comment letting me know what you think about the situation with Atlanta this week coming into Dallas. I guess there's going to be some fans there, so that should be a plus. It'll be exciting. Again, it's great to have football back in Dallas. I'm looking forward to it. And that's going to do it for today, guys. I'm out. Peace.